Hey there, fellow explorers. You sent us some fascinating material to dig into this time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're talking Admiral Byrd,
Go.
Antarctica, a hidden civilization, the whole 9 yards.
Wow.
Yeah, the source you shared is a clip from, Ancient Aliens from the History Channel.
Right, right.
And it dives into some pretty wild claims.
I bet.
Yeah, UFO encounters, maybe even an entrance to the Earth's interior.
I mean, that's what they always say, right? I mean, it's Ancient Aliens.
Right.
It's
right.
definitely a story that captures the imagination, though.
Oh, for sure.
And what makes it even more intriguing is that it's, about Admiral Byrd.
Yeah.
He was a naval officer, very respected, a pioneer in polar exploration.
Exactly. And he led Operation High Jump back in '46, which was the largest Antarctic expedition ever.
Huge, yeah.
Huge. Officially, it was, to establish bases, do some scientific research.
Right.
But some believe that, there was more to it.
There's always more to it.
Right.
Yeah. That's where things get a little unexplained.
Okay.
The episode focuses on a diary.
Okay.
Supposedly written by Byrd himself.
Oh, wow.
And it was discovered after his death. This diary, it paints a very different picture of the expedition than what the official records say.
Okay, so let's dive into this diary.
Okay.
What did Byrd allegedly record in this thing?
Well, according to the episode, he describes flying over the South Pole.
Okay.
And encountering, get this, a warm, temperate zone.
Really?
Yeah, completely unexpected given, Antarctica.
Yeah, it's freezing.
Exactly. And he even claims his squadron flew into a lush green valley.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
A hidden valley?
Under the ice?
Underneath all the ice.
Yeah.
That seems impossible.
Right.
Antarctica's known for,
Penguins.
penguins and ice and
Not
hidden valleys.
Not exactly a tropical paradise now.
Right.
That's what makes this story so captivating.
Yeah.
It gets even wilder, though. Byrd supposedly describes seeing a shimmering city
Okay.
made of crystal
What?
and encountering disc-shaped objects.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
This is sounding like science fiction.
I know, right?
But I gotta ask,
Yeah.
what evidence does the episode present?
That's a great question.
Is there anything beyond this alleged diary?
So it's important to remember,
Okay.
Ancient Aliens often relies on speculation and interpretation,
Okay.
not always hard evidence.
Right.
They connect events, ancient myths, modern phenomena to build a narrative that supports the ancient astronaut theory,
Right. Which
suggests that extraterrestrials have visited Earth
Okay.
in the past and influenced human civilization.
So they're taking Byrd's already extraordinary diary entries and connecting them to this broader theory.
Exactly.
Okay, so what do they say happened after Byrd encountered these flying discs?
Well, according to the episode,
Okay.
the discs guided Byrd's plane to a landing,
Oh, wow.
and he was taken to this huge underground chamber
Okay.
where he met a being
Okay.
called the Master.
All right, now we're getting to the good stuff.
Right.
What was the purpose of this encounter?
Yeah.
What did the Master have to say?
So the episode claims that the Master was very concerned about humanity's use of nuclear weapons,
Okay.
specifically mentioning Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Right.
The message was basically a warning
Okay.
about the dangers of self-destruction and potential environmental catastrophe.
Yeah, that's a chilling message, especially coming right after World War II,
It is.
when the world had just witnessed the devastating power of atomic weapons.
For sure.
But hold on, if this encounter was so significant,
Yeah.
why didn't Byrd share it with the world?
Well, that's where the theory of a government cover-up comes in.
Okay.
Ancient Aliens suggest that Byrd was debriefed by government officials in order to keep his experience a secret.
Right.
It's a common theme in UFO lore, right?
Right.
The idea that governments are suppressing evidence of extraterrestrial contact.
So we have this incredible story.
We do.
Hidden civilization, a warning from a mysterious being, and a government cover-up.
Yeah,
It's a lot to take in.
it is.
But I'm curious, what do you make of the timing of this alleged encounter?
Interesting point.
It occurs right at the dawn of the modern UFO era.
Right.
Do you think there's a connection?
The timing is definitely interesting.
Yeah.
The late 1940s saw a huge surge in UFO sightings.
Right.
Particularly after Roswell.
Right, in '47.
Exactly. And Ancient Aliens suggests that extraterrestrial interest in Earth might have intensified
Okay.
after we developed nuclear weapons.
Okay.
Maybe they started viewing us as a potential threat.
So they're implying that our technological advancements, specifically nuclear power, put us on the radar of these alleged extraterrestrial civilizations.
It's possible.
And they see Byrd's experience as evidence of that increased scrutiny.
Exactly.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here. We've got a famous explorer, a secret diary, a hidden civilization, UFO encounters, a message of warning, and a government cover-up.
It's quite the story.
It's a story that has all the elements of a great mystery.
It certainly does.
But before we get swept away by, the ancient aliens narrative,
right,
I think it's important to take a step back and look at this story with a critical eye.
I agree.
Yeah, you're right. We need to approach this with a healthy dose of skepticism.
Absolutely.
Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, as they say.
Right.
So let's play devil's advocate for a minute.
Okay.
What are some of the counter-arguments to this whole Byrd's secret diary story?
Well, I mean, for starters,
Yeah.
the diary itself, like its authenticity has never been verified.
Really?
No. Some researchers think it's a hoax.
Like completely made up?
Yeah, a fabrication, created after Byrd died.
So the very foundation of this Ancient Aliens episode, this supposed diary,
right,
is shaky at best.
Yeah, it raises serious doubts.
Yeah, that's a pretty big red flag, isn't it?
It is, and we also have to consider the source.
Right, Ancient Aliens.
Yeah, Ancient Aliens, while entertaining, often present speculation as fact.
Right.
And kind of cherry picks evidence to fit their narrative.
So we're taking the word of a show known for pushing the boundaries of believability.
Basically, yeah.
Maybe we should dig a little deeper, see if there are any other reasons to question this encounter.
Good idea.
Okay.
Well, for starters, Operation High Jump was a massive military operation.
Right. Thousands of personnel.
Exactly. If Byrd had truly discovered this hidden civilization, or had contact with extraterrestrials, wouldn't there be more witnesses?
Right. Wouldn't someone have said something?
You'd think so, right?
Yeah.
And wouldn't there be more evidence?
Yeah, that's a good point.
It seems unlikely that something this big could be kept secret for decades.
Right, especially with so many people involved.
Exactly, and then there's the whole logistical and scientific challenges. The idea of a hidden temperate zone beneath the Antarctic ice, a crystal city.
Yeah.
It kind of strains credulity.
Yeah. Antarctica is one of the most inhospitable environments on Earth.
It is, yeah.
I mean, we're talking miles thick ice sheets.
Sub-zero temperatures.
Right.
To think there's a lush, warm valley under there.
It just seems to defy basic science.
It does. And while we can't completely rule out unusual geological formations or microclimates or anything, but a whole civilization
with advanced technology,
it's very unlikely.
Yeah. So while it's fun to entertain the Ancient Aliens perspective,
for sure,
it seems like there are some pretty major holes in their narrative.
There are.
So if we set aside the Ancient Aliens interpretation, what are some alternative explanations for what Byrd might have seen or experienced?
Well, one thing to consider is the psychological effect of extreme environments.
Oh.
Antarctica can be a very challenging and disorienting place.
How so?
Where you've got the isolation, the extreme cold, the vastness of the landscape. All these factors can really play tricks on the mind.
Wow, so even a seasoned explorer like Byrd, someone accustomed to these conditions, could be susceptible to that.
Oh, absolutely.
Really?
Sensory deprivation, sleep disturbances, constant exposure to the cold.
Yeah.
All of that can lead to hallucinations, misperceptions, even temporary psychosis.
Wow.
It's possible that Byrd, despite his experience, was affected by these factors.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
The human mind is a complex and delicate thing.
It is.
It's not immune to stress, right?
Exactly. And we also have to remember the technological limitations back then.
Oh, right. Back in the 40s?
Yeah. Navigation and communication were not as sophisticated.
Right.
Byrd and his crew relied on compasses and sextants and basic radio equipment.
So you're saying there's the possibility of human error.
Exactly.
Like maybe Byrd misjudged his location or misinterpreted natural phenomena?
Yeah, or encountered weather patterns that created some kind of optical illusion.
Right.
Imagine flying over this huge white expanse for hours. It wouldn't be hard to mistake, ice formations or cloud patterns or even mirages for something more extraordinary.
Yeah, okay, I see your point.
Yeah.
So the combination of psychological stress and limited technology could have created a situation where it's easy to misinterpret things.
Exactly.
But even if we factor all that in, there's still the question of the diary.
Right.
The claims of a government cover-up.
Yeah.
Byrd being silenced.
Right. Well, it's true that governments have a history of secrecy.
Yeah, especially when it comes to military operations.
Exactly. But we also have to remember that claims of cover-ups
Yeah.
should also be met with some skepticism.
So we shouldn't just automatically assume there's a conspiracy?
No, not at all.
Just because the government's involved.
Right. You have to look at the evidence or the lack thereof
Yeah.
and consider alternative explanations.
Right.
And in this case, there's no independent verification.
Of a cover-up.
Right. And as we said, the authenticity of the diary itself is in question.
Right. We're back to square one.
Pretty much.
We have this sensational story.
Yeah.
Limited evidence to back it up.
Right.
So where does that leave us? What's the takeaway for our listeners trying to make sense of all this?
I think the takeaway is, the importance of critical thinking.
Okay.
And a balanced perspective.
Yeah.
It's easy to get swept up in the excitement of a mystery like this.
Right. Especially with Admiral Byrd.
Exactly.
In civilization.
Extraterrestrial contact.
That whole thing.
But we need to approach these stories with a healthy dose of skepticism.
So while it's fun to entertain the possibilities, we shouldn't let our imaginations run wild.
No.
Without considering the evidence, the context, the alternative explanations.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Good.
So we've explored the ancient aliens' interpretation.
Yeah.
We've examined the skepticism surrounding the diary.
Right.
And we've considered some alternative explanations. We have, but I'm still curious.
Yeah.
Do you think there's any chance that there's something to this story? Even if it's not as dramatic as the Ancient Aliens episode makes it out to be.
Well...
Yeah, it is tricky.
It is.
I mean, on the one hand, we have this wild story that, sparks our curiosity about the unknown.
Of course.
But then on the other hand, the evidence is...
shaky at best.
Yeah, and there are, more plausible explanations.
Much more plausible.
So...
Yeah. It really highlights how hard it can be to deal with these extraordinary claims.
Right.
We should always be open to the possibility of new discoveries.
Of course.
But you have to be discerning, too.
Yeah.
It's like walking a tightrope between open-mindedness and critical thinking.
And in this case, it seems like that tightrope is swaying over a chasm of speculation.
It really is.
But let's try to, find some solid ground here.
Okay.
You mentioned that Byrd might have encountered something he couldn't explain.
Yeah.
Realistically, what could that something be?
Well, we know that Antarctica is a place of constant change and unexpected phenomena. Unique weather patterns, strange atmospheric effects, unusual geological formations could easily be misinterpreted.
Especially back then.
Especially with technology back then, yeah.
So we're talking about things like,
ice mirages, sudden temperature inversions.
Okay.
Maybe even some undiscovered geological feature.
That could, create the illusion of a hidden valley.
Exactly. And don't forget the aurora australis.
Oh, the southern lights?
Yeah, those stunning displays of light. They can create some incredibly vivid visual effects.
Well,
I mean, they could be mistaken for something otherworldly.
That's a good point. I mean, even the aurora borealis up north has inspired myths and legends for centuries.
Right. It's not hard to imagine the aurora australis having a similar impact.
Yeah.
Especially in that environment.
And let's not forget the power of human imagination.
Oh, for sure.
Especially when you're faced with the unknown.
Right.
I mean, Byrd was an explorer at heart.
Yeah.
Driven by curiosity.
And a thirst for discovery.
Yeah, so it's understandable that he might have interpreted his experiences through that lens.
Through the lens of his adventurous spirit.
So are you saying that maybe Byrd, consciously or unconsciously embellished his accounts?
Well, I don't know about embellish.
To make them a little more exciting?
I don't think he intentionally fabricated anything.
Okay.
But it's possible that his accounts, as they appear in this alleged diary, were influenced by a mix of real experiences, misperceptions, and maybe even a little bit of romanticism.
So maybe the truth is somewhere in the middle between a regular scientific expedition and a full-blown close encounter.
It's possible.
Perhaps Byrd did stumble upon something unusual that, sparked his imagination and led to these intriguing, albeit questionable, diary entries.
It's definitely possible.
So where does that leave us? I mean, it's up to each of us to decide how we want to interpret the evidence, right?
It is.
Do we buy into the whole ancient aliens narrative? Believe in the hidden civilization?
The cover-up.
The whole thing.
Or do we take a more grounded approach? Consider the psychological and environmental factors.
That could have influenced Byrd's perceptions.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a fascinating dilemma.
It is.
It's tempting to believe in the extraordinary.
Right.
Right. That there's more to the world than we know.
Right.
But we also have to be